slow, some Ragiroth do.
Ragiroth Enterprises.
Oh, hey, I didn't see you come in. My name is Rich Lancy of Ragiroth Enterprises. Welcome to my channel. So I've done a few videos talking about fighting games, some myself and some I've done with Margiroth. So I figured with all the fighting games coming out, it was time to do videos about the characters I really wanted in these fighting games. And I figured, why not do a top 10 video? Pretty common practice, gets to the point. So I figured I would do top 10 videos on Marvel Vs Capcom Infinite, Dragon Ball FighterZ, BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle, I'm saying that right, and Dissidia Final Fantasy NT. Now, I'm not doing any on Injustice 2, because that game's been out for a few months, and as much as I would like to, there's not really much more there is. There's only like, what, 8 more DLC characters? No, actually no, 6 more. So it's like the pool is getting kind of thin there. Not going to do Pokken DX because we basically know all the characters. I don't really think they're going to add more. Not going to do Under Night in Birth ST or whatever it's called, because that's kind of a new fighting game which doesn't really have that many established characters. And probably not going to do that Omen of Sorrow game because you're like Under Night. It's a new IP that doesn't really have existing characters. I'm going to focus on the ones that we know. There's characters that people would want. So I figured for the first one, I would do Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, because, that game is like a month away. It's the closest one we know most of the roster. Not to mention it's one I've already done a couple videos about with Mark Unard. And I figured because there's such a huge pool of characters to choose from, returning and new, I would split it into 2 videos. One focus on returning characters from 1, 2, and 3, and then new characters that just haven't been any of the Marvel vs. Capcom games yet. So I figured the first one, might as well start with the veterans. So anyway, here it goes. So, number 10, Akuma from Street Fighter. Now, Akuma's like my favorite Street Fighter character, so why would I not want him? He's also a character heavily associated with crossovers for a long time now. And I know a lot of people are gonna be like, oh, he's just a Shoto, another clone of Ryu, he's not that unique. But I don't really care, okay, he's not the most unique character, I'll admit that. But, I've always really liked him, and they have worked on differentiating him from Ryu and Ken a good amount over the years. I think, even in Street Fighter V, they managed to push that even further. And I think, with this game, I'm sure they'll work to make him even more different. Now, granted, I do kind of prefer the Oni version of him, but I understand that, the standard version of Akuma is the more iconic, popular, recognizable one. But hey, that is another reason I prefer Oni, because he's at least a little more easier to make unique. Okay, number 9, Blackheart. I should also say, sorry I forgot to mention this, that I picked 5 Marvel characters and 5 Capcom characters. That way I'm being fair to both sides, and I like both sides. So yes, for Blackheart, he was a character I really liked in Marvel vs. games. I didn't really know who he was. I don't think a lot of people did. But I always thought he was really cool. He kind of looked like a Heartless from Kingdom Hearts if he was a Marvel Comics character. And I always liked his moveset, summoning the demons. That was very unique. I was always pretty good with him too. I think Dormammu kind of took his niche, and I love Dormammu. I actually probably like how Dormammu plays even more. However, I do kind of like Blackheart's design a bit more. And he's also a Ghost Rider villain. That's what he's mostly known for being a villain of. And the games we've had Blackheart in, Ghost Rider is nowhere to be seen. But now we have Ghost Rider, and Blackheart's nowhere to be seen. So it'd be kind of nice if we could get hero and villain in the game. I could do it in tag team. How cool would that be? Now anyway, moving on to number 8, Charlie Nash from Street Fighter. Now, Nash has been in only Marvel vs. Capcom 2 in the series. I don't know, I think he might have been in a little bit more, but out of the main Marvel vs. Capcom, he's been in 2. And, back then, he was cool, but he was just kind of like, oh, that guy that plays like a lot like Guile. I like him a little more than Guile, but eh. But, our boy Nash has kind of gone through a little bit of changes recently. made his return to Street Fighter. He looks a little different. He acts a little different. He plays a little different. He's no longer a charge character, thank God. And even though he has similar looking moves to Guile, they function very differently and perform very differently and have their unique differences to them. And I know even though I said Akuma is my favorite Street Fighter character, the reason Nash is higher because, well, Akuma's been in a lot of things recently. He's been kind of busy. He's been in Tekken, he's been back in Street Fighter, a busy time for a boy Akuma. So it's like I have more things to play as him in. Nash, on the other hand, not as much. And for those that don't know, spoilers, even though he was brought back in Street Fighter V, for some asinine reason in the story mode, they chose to kill him off again. So we may never see Nash again, or at least for another long time in a proper Street Fighter game. But the beauty with Marvel Vs. Capcom is there's no canon stories there. They're all their own universes and things. So might as well throw them in there, just like Wesker. And I think putting Nash in would kind of kill a few birds with one stone. It would represent Street Fighter Alpha. It would represent Street Fighter V, assuming they use the new version of him. He would be sort of new in a way, and I think he would work fairly well in Marvel vs. Capcom. His moveset's a little more flashy than Guile's, and now he's not a charge character anymore. He can kind of have that fighting style that is a lot more apparent in Marvel vs. Capcom. And I do really like a lot of the new characters in Street Fighter V, but I just kind of have a little bit more positive opinion towards Nash than I do them, and I think he would still represent Street Fighter V. Also, for those that like Guile, we'll at least have a character with similarities to him. Anyway, on to number 7, Trish from Devil May Cry. Now, when Marvel vs. Capcom 3, when it looked like Dante was going to be in, I was so thrilled. He's one of my favorite characters, fit in any game ever, one of my favorite main characters. And it looked like Trish was going to be in as well, and I was kind of like, well, I'd kind of rather have Virgil. I don't really know what she can do that much, but I was just so happy to have Dante, and I guess I thought more about it. I'm like, oh, she could probably use the Sparta sword. That's always really cool. Dante probably won't use that because it's Devil May Cry 3 Dante. And man, when I saw the moveset for her and I heard the trailer for her, I thought she looked so friggin' awesome. She actually wound up being like my best character in that game. So just for that, I gotta add, I would love to have Trish back. The more Devil May Cry characters, the better. It's one of my favorite series. And, unfortunately, I think her chances are probably pretty low because I think the only reason she got into 3 was because they had this weird, rule that Dante could only be in if Trish was in as well. But I don't know if they have that rule anymore. Clearly, she doesn't seem to be in the base roster from Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. So for number 6, War Machine. War Machine, I've always liked him more than Iron Man, honestly. He's way cooler, and I've always enjoyed playing him a little bit more. I know he wasn't considered as good, but I always thought he was fine. And I think with him being in the MCU and being played by a fairly high-profile actor, I think he should get a little more of the limelight now. And they kind of seen that thing where they don't want to give Iron Man a War Machine outfit. They'd rather just make him a playable character. Well, then make him a friggin' playable character again. I know people are like, oh, he'd be too similar to Iron Man, but I honestly kind of think War Machine could have a more physical, slower moveset with less lasers, more missiles, and more close-range attacks. And also, back then, War Machine did have one unique super move that Iron Man did not have. I forget what the name of the move was, but it's the move where he fired the missiles down and it would rain down. And so that's one super he could still keep. They would probably totally revamp his moveset, but that would be at least something to work with. I'm just saying. So number 5, Albert Wesker from Resident Evil. Wesker was one of my most requested characters for the 3rd game. And I was so happy when they announced him. I remember being up very late trying to catch the trailer because I knew they teased the silhouette that kind of looked like him. So all of our hopes were really high. It was going to be him. And lo and behold, it was him. His moveset was so cool. They did him so perfectly. And he's one of my favorite Resident Evil characters, if not my favorite. And I really thought he was going to become a staple of Marvel vs. Capcom, but apparently not. I don't know. They have this. They don't want to seem to have Capcom villains be staples. I notice it's really annoying, because Capcom has a lot of cool villains. But I would love to see Wesker back, and I kind of thought that was one of the reasons they brought Chris back, is because so they could have Wesker, but it doesn't look like it. This will be DLC because everyone you want has to be DLC. Anyway, on to number 4, Gambit. Now, Gambit is one of those characters that everybody likes, but at the same time don't. He's that cult. Has a very cult following. It is, I've liked him for a while, myself included. But now he's just very irrelevant, unfortunately. And it didn't help that the one time he was in a movie was not very well received, which was X-Men Origins. I personally didn't mind it, and I thought the actor that played him was cool, but fuck me, right? But Gambit's moveset in the Versus series, it was always really cool, and I always really liked his design, and I would really like him to come back. I know there's a whole Fox thing, but I think as down the line DLC, we could maybe see some X-Men. I'm hoping. I know he's not one of the kind of high-profile ones. He is very requested and very popular, and maybe they'll shake things up a bit since he wasn't in 3. For number 3, another X-Men, Shylock. Shylock is kind of in a similar boat as Gambit, as they're both characters that are very popular in the 90s, but sort of faded off a little bit. She, I think, has stayed a little more relevant, and she's also still very requested, and she was in a recent movie, and that movie was probably at least a little more well-received than X-Men Origins, and I think her portrayal in that was a little more well-received. I think one of the criticisms, at least mine, was that she wasn't in it enough. But anyway, Shylock is my favorite X-Men, my favorite mutant, whatever. My favorite female Marvel vs. Marvel character, maybe my favorite female comic character. Her powers are just so cool, her design's really cool. Yes, she is very hot, but no, I like her more because she's cool, okay? Stop with the pervertedness, okay? I would really love to see her come back. Basically, ditto with Gambit, as she can maybe be DLC. And I know she's not a flagship X-Men or Marvel character, but again, maybe because she's requested and to shake things up since she wasn't in 3, they can put her in there. Now for number 2, Virgil from Devil May Cry. Oh, Virgil. He's probably my favorite Capcom character, period. Literally, when he was announced for Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, I probably screamed in joy like a little girl. Yeah, I'm admitting that. Whatever. And I was kind of like Wesker. I was kind of hoping he would maybe become a staple, but no, of course not. Doesn't seem like it. And Capcom has this weird tradition with Virgil where he always has to be DLC or added in a special edition. They can't ever just have him be playable in the main game. Even the one time he was playable in the main game with Project Cross Zone 2, it was still a sequel. It wasn't the first game. So, I really hope, at some point they bring Virgil back. And what kind of makes me mad, and this kind of applies to Wesker too, is I think part of the reason he might not be back is because of how he was considered so good competitively that, I think people didn't like fighting him and were tired of him. And that might have, given Capcom the opinion that, people don't want Virgil as much now. I think that's so stupid because, the original reason we play these games is to play as characters from series we like and have them fight each other. And, no one asked for Virgil to be, top tier. I'm not saying I want him to be the worst character in the game, but, I just wanted to play as him. And I think I can speak for most other Virgil fans that, we want to play as him because he's cool, not because he's top tier. Yeah, okay, it helps he's good, but no one asked that he was a really powerful character. No, it's not fair. Sentinel can come back. He was considered top tier, in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and he came back in 3, but Virgil can, an actual character. Fuck out of here. Sorry. Alright, anyway, before I get to my number 1 pick, I figured I would do some honorable mentions, and just to, even it out, I chose 2 from Marvel, 2 from Capcom. Anyways, my honorable mentions are Hayato from Star Gladiator series, Amaterasu from Okami, Iron Fist, and Merc with a Mouth himself, Deadpool. So now for my number one pick. If you've seen any videos with me and Marking Art talking about this game, you probably have a good guess of who number one is. But anyway, it's Venom. I mean, come on now. You know, you could tell I'm a huge symbiote fan. And Venom, he was basically my main in Marvel Vs. Capcom 1 and 2. And, you know, he hasn't really been in that many games recently that aren't Lego games or mobile games. And that really friggin' sucks. I've always really, liked him. Actually, this is weird to admit. I think Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was kind of my introduction to him. So, and I know there's been rumors, and, he was found in the zip leak, and they said he's going to be in the game, just maybe DLC. And there is the variant cover based off of Venom issue. But I was kind of going into these lists, assuming that, we don't know 100% of what's not officially announced yet. I was kind of going into it saying that, the only things we know for sure are coming is Dormammu, Firebrand, and Ghost Rider. They'll be announced at Gamescom. Or they have officially been announced, but they'll get gameplay at Gamescom. And the funny thing is, all three of them would have maybe made this list, especially Ghost Rider, so that kind of freed up 3 spots. All I can ask, regardless if Venom is in the base roster or DLC, can he please be black this time and not blue? So anyways, that was my top 10 list for returning characters in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. I'll basically, do another video talking about the new characters I would want. Basically, these new characters are probably all going to be DLC. These videos are basically going to be back-to-back, I think, for the most part. So, as always, another time, another place. Keep being awesome.